Sometimes the most important thing about an idea is not what it says but where it stands next to other ideas. When very different voices share the same small circle, something unusual happens. The mind stops sorting and starts listening. That is the quiet power behind this story. It is not about one talk or one speaker. It is about contrast creating clarity. The context here is a search across cities looking for ideas that matter. Along the way there is food, travel, excitement and movement. But beneath all that motion there is a deeper observation. Places shape how ideas appear. Singapore does not separate thinking into neat boxes. It allows difference to sit side by side. A clown, a funeral director, a technologist. On paper that sounds strange. In practice it feels right. The first surface insight is that strong ideas do not need to match to belong together. When speakers come from lived work, their ideas carry weight without needing decoration. They speak from doing, not from theory. That changes the energy in the room. The audience senses it. You can feel when someone has spent years inside a problem. Their words are calmer. Their claims are grounded. Think about the difference between advice from someone who read about something and someone who lived it. The second feels slower and more honest. This is why the stage feels full even when topics vary. Each idea arrives complete. The hidden assumption we often carry is that ideas should be grouped by category. Science with science. Art with art. Technology with technology. We believe this helps understanding. But it can also limit it. When ideas stay within their own lane, they repeat familiar patterns. When they mix, new questions appear. A talk about reefs next to a talk about caregiving changes how both are heard. Care becomes ecological. Restoration becomes relational. Cycling becomes a way of seeing, not just moving. Difference does not confuse. It deepens. The third insight reveals a structural pattern. Shared space creates shared responsibility. When people with different missions stand on the same stage, they are connected whether they plan to be or not. Their ideas lean on each other. No single narrative dominates. The audience is invited to hold many truths at once. This mirrors real life. Problems do not arrive one at a time. Climate, healthcare, culture, and technology overlap. Solutions must overlap too. A stage that reflects this prepares the mind for complexity without panic. A new perspective begins to form here. The value of an idea is not only in its brilliance but in its ability to sit with others. Can it listen? Can it adapt? Can it respect different forms of work? Singapore shows that progress does not come from one direction. It comes from alignment across difference. This is why the people stand out more than the spectacle. They are doers. They build reefs. They care for others. They shift how we move through cities. Their ideas are tested daily. That testing gives them humility. Humility invites trust. Applying this to daily life can be simple. Notice what voices you place together. At work, do different departments talk or stay apart? At home, do conversations allow many perspectives or rush to agreement? In learning, do you mix subjects or keep them separate? Try letting contrast exist longer. Do not resolve it too quickly. Listen for how one idea changes another. This practice builds mental flexibility. It makes you less defensive and more curious. There is also an optional deeper layer worth noticing. Food appears in this story as humor, but it points to something real. Shared meals build connection. They slow people down. They create openness. In the same way, shared stages build intellectual hospitality. They say you are welcome here even if your work looks different. Hospitality is a design choice. It can be applied to meetings, classrooms, and communities. When people feel welcome, they bring their whole selves. That is when ideas get interesting. Over time, this approach changes what we value. We stop chasing the loudest idea and start noticing the most useful one. We stop asking who wins and start asking what helps. The journey continues to other cities, other stages, other contrasts. But the lesson stays. When difference is treated as strength, rooms change. Conversations deepen. Futures widen. And maybe that is the real search. Not for the single best idea, but for the conditions that let many good ideas grow together. So as you think about the spaces you create and the voices you bring together, what would change if you chose contrast not as a risk but as a resource?